Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton launched a sharp critique at President Donald Trump on Tuesday after it was revealed that the president had authorized major modifications to the White House's East Room in order to construct a new ballroom intended for lavish state dinners and ceremonial gatherings. Welcome viewers to my channel. Please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. It's not his house. It's your house. And he's destroying it, Clinton declared in a pointed statement shared across her social media platforms. Her words resonated with many who viewed the White House as a national symbol of democracy rather than a personal estate for any one occupant, reigniting a long-standing debate over Trump's perceived use of the presidency for personal grandeur and self-promotion. The Trump administration had initially unveiled its plans for the ballroom back in July, but according to reports, actual demolition and construction efforts only began this week. The project, initially estimated to cost around $200 million, has since ballooned to approximately $250 million, a staggering sum that has raised eyebrows even among Trump's supporters. Early statements from White House officials claimed that the undertaking would not involve any structural demolition, yet photographs taken Monday morning showed heavy machinery breaking ground in the East Wing's vicinity. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tried to reassure the public, insisting that the project was meant to preserve and enhance the White House's functionality for modern ceremonial use. However, critics remain unconvinced, viewing the ballroom addition as an unnecessary vanity project in an era when Americans face economic struggles and rising costs of living. President Trump, meanwhile, celebrated the project's commencement with characteristic enthusiasm. In a post to his Truth Social account, he wrote, "Completely separate from the White House itself, the East Wing is being fully modernized as part of this process, and will be more beautiful than ever when it is complete." For more than 150 years, every president has dreamt about having a ballroom at the White House to accommodate people for grand parties, state visits, etc. I am honored to be the first president to finally get this much-needed project underway, with zero cost to the American taxpayer. Trump emphasized that the construction would be funded entirely through private donations, claiming this would save public money and allow the U.S. to host foreign dignitaries in a more fitting and spectacular manner. Yet, this declaration only fueled further scrutiny. Ethics experts warned that even if taxpayer funds are not directly used, the reliance on private donors could open the door to serious conflicts of interest. Richard W. Painter, who served as the chief ethics lawyer in the White House counsel's office during the George W. Bush administration, told the New York Times that such funding mechanisms risk blurring ethical boundaries. "People who want to be in good with the president are going to write checks," Painter said. "It's just a whole extension of the pay-to-play problem that we've had in government for years." He went on to warn that this situation was teed up for a very transactional approach, suggesting that wealthy contributors might seek political favors or access in exchange for their financial support. This is not the first time Trump has floated the idea of constructing a ballroom for the White House. During the Obama administration, he reportedly offered to personally fund a similar addition, but the proposal was ultimately dismissed, likely due to concerns about mixing private business interests with government property. Now, during his second tenure in office, Trump appears determined to see his long-held vision realized. According to documents released by the White House, the planned structure will span roughly 90,000 square feet and accommodate up to 650 seated guests. It will include state-of-the-art security features, such as bulletproof glass and reinforced foundations. Trump has described the addition as a tribute to American craftsmanship, asserting that it will restore the White House's status as a premier global venue for diplomacy and celebration. Construction will be handled by Clark Construction, a firm with a long history of federal contracts. Architectural plans have been designed by McCrory Architects, known for their work on historic preservation and classical design projects. McCrory CEO Jim McCrory praised the initiative in a White House press release, stating, "Presidents in the modern era have faced challenges hosting major events at the White House because it has been untouched since President Harry Truman. I am honored that President Trump has entrusted me to help bring this beautiful and necessary renovation to the People's House, while preserving the elegance of its classical design and historical importance." Despite the glowing endorsements from Trump and his selected contractors, many historians and preservationists have expressed alarm. The White House is one of the most architecturally and historically protected buildings in the United States, and major structural alterations, especially those driven by one president's personal taste, are rare and typically met with resistance. Critics argue that Trump's project risks undermining the building's historical integrity and turning a national symbol into a personal monument. Architectural historian Deborah Leiter told The Washington Post that, every president adds something to the White House, be it art, furnishings, or small refurbishments, but large-scale structural changes, particularly ones that alter the building's footprint, are extraordinarily sensitive. Leiter noted that Trump's decision marks one of the most aggressive physical transformations of the presidential complex since Truman's reconstruction in the late 1940s. Beyond the architectural and ethical questions, there is also a broader cultural conversation at play. Many observers see the ballroom project as reflective of Trump's larger governing style, one steeped in image, spectacle, and branding. Supporters say it represents bold modernization and a continuation of his mission to make America great again, while detractors view it as yet another instance of prioritizing optics over substance. Even within Washington, reactions have been polarized. Some Republican lawmakers praised Trump's initiative as a forward-looking investment in American prestige, pointing out that major state functions often require renting large hotel ballrooms due to limited White House capacity. Senator Lindsey Graham commented that, having a dedicated space for grand events makes perfect sense for a nation of our stature. Meanwhile, Democrats called it a tone-deaf display of excess. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez criticized the timing of the project, saying, at a moment when millions of Americans are struggling to afford rent, healthcare, and education, the president is focused on building a golden ballroom for parties and photo ops. It's obscene. The public reaction has been just as divided online. On social media, hashtags such as #BallroomGate and #NotYourHouse have trended, with users sharing photos of the White House under construction juxtaposed against images of Trump's lavish properties, accusing him of treating the nation's most iconic residence as an extension of his personal empire. Nonetheless, Trump remains undeterred. In follow-up comments made to reporters outside the White House on Tuesday, he doubled down on his vision, saying, "This is something that should have been done a century ago. America deserves a ballroom worthy of its greatness. We'll host kings, queens, presidents, and the best people from all over the world. It'll be beautiful." Still, questions linger over transparency and donor influence. The White House has yet to release the names of those contributing to the privately funded project, prompting watchdog organizations to call for disclosure to prevent potential abuse of power. As the construction cranes continue to rise over the East Wing, the debate over Trump's ballroom becomes emblematic of larger divisions in the country, between those who see the project as a symbol of national pride and renewal, and those who view it as another step in blurring the line between public service and personal ambition. In the end, Hillary Clinton's words, "It's not his house. It's your house," have come to define the emotional heart of the controversy. Whether Trump's ballroom becomes a lasting monument to American tradition or a reminder of one man's penchant for spectacle remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The transformation of the White House has once again become a mirror reflecting America's ongoing struggle over power, privilege, and the meaning of democracy itself. The early morning sun cast a pale glow over Washington, D.C., illuminating the crisp marble facade of the White House as construction trucks rumbled up Pennsylvania Avenue. The rhythmic pounding of machinery and the distant hum of engines broke the stillness that usually surrounded the executive mansion. Reporters gathered near the North Lawn gates, cameras in hand, capturing what many were already calling one of the most controversial projects of President Donald Trump's second term, the creation of a new grand ballroom within the East Wing of the White House. It was a sight both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary in the sense that construction and renovation had always been part of the White House's long and storied history, but extraordinary because of the symbolism, timing, and the fierce storm of opinion that had erupted across the nation. Inside, behind the iconic white columns, staff members moved briskly through the corridors. The usual hum of political chatter had been replaced by the clatter of renovation tools, echoing faintly through the hallways once graced by presidents, first ladies, and world leaders. For some, this construction represented progress and modernization, a long overdue enhancement to an aging building. But for others, it was something else entirely, a blatant act of vanity, a personal monument being built at the heart of America's democracy. Among the loudest voices of opposition was one that had long been familiar in the nation's political arena, former Secretary of State and First Lady Hillary